This episode has been brought to you from the DGMS Studios, home of Don't Get Me Started, Lethal and Money Live, and Surftown. Found at Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music, and wherever you listen to your podcast. Welcome to Keith and Lee's Don't Get Me Started. Hi, I'm Lee.
And I'm Keith.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Don't Get Me Started. It's been a long time between drinks. Please let me apologise for this long elapsed time. My co-host and great friend Keith, he's been to Sydney and back a few times. He's been busy. I've been chasing him down. I've been outside his unit. I've gone to all his favourite surf spots and coffee shops and finally dragged his ass in. And we're here today. So Keith, how are you, mate?
I'm very well, and I thought you were going to say I've been outside the pubs and bars looking for him too, but I'm not drinking very much these days. It's almost down to, out of 100, 0.3%.
Mate, it's not even worth me going down to the surf spots because there's no surf.
No, that's right. It's been a very long summer without waves, which I have been lamenting loud and clear. Yes, Lee, it has been a long layoff for us because it's been summer in Australia. That's our holiday period. And it's been a long, leisurely time for me, but I'm really pleased to be back in the studio, and it's really good to see you, my old mate. How you been?
Mate, I'm stoked that we're back in. I fired her up again, and like I keep saying to you, this is my happy place, and I'm happy that you're here, and I'm happy that we're doing it. It feels like we've been away forever.
Well, you know, you've got a little sparkle in your eye over there, and you're looking a little
It's a tear.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
You want to confess? Unlike something?
No bloody Hail Marys for me.
Isn't it? And you're looking a little bit buff too. So you've been, what are your push-up counts up to?
Oh, I think 7.5. I think. I've been watching you, mate.
Well, anyway, so we're back in podcast land, which is really amazing. And I have to congratulate you. I haven't been in the studio for a while, and it's looking terrific. I can see that you got a few more new gadgets.
New toys.
Yeah, you love all that, don't you? And,
I do.
Looks very, very impressive.
While Keith's mentioning that, what's happening is we are going to change lanes. So we're going from one lane to another lane, so which means we're finally, and we've been saying this for, I don't know, a year and a half, Keith,
About that?
that we're going video. And we're going over to a new platform, which I'm excited about. I've discussed it with Keith. He's on board. So we will be attacking you guys on YouTube, on Facebook, on Substack, if you're on Substack, any form or platform that you're on, we will be there. So that's our next step. So I've just tidied up a little area by my desk here to accommodate that. And I'm excited about getting online with Keith.
Well, I'm excited too, but a little bit in fear and trembling because, you know, when you see other people who podcast regularly and they also put their videos up on YouTube as they're podcasting, they've got good lighting. I don't think their studio would be any more impressive than ours because this is whiz-bang. It's
Whiz-bang.
Oh, no, I'm knocked out. There's gadgets everywhere. And but they have good lighting, and I'm sure they have makeup artists, you know, all those lovely assistants putting powder on their face. We haven't got that luxury. We're going to have to go in a la natural. So I'll have to have a close shave at least, but all the wrinkles and foibles on the face and it'll all be seen there. And
You've heard of AI. That's what we will get AI to make us look great. We don't need the studio background, even though, as you say, it's really nice. We can put anything behind. You could put a surf spot behind you. I could put a MotoGP motorbike behind me. It doesn't matter. But I won't be doing that from my side. But when we do interviews overseas, people like this, we can put our own branding on it. We can put our own lower thirds. We can customize it. We can put the Surftown logo up. Anything. It just broadens our base.
Well, I like the sound of that. And it puts in mind a question that I'd like to put to you. If we can have an artificial background, which denotes to the viewer that we are at that location, if you had to have a geographical location behind you, what would it be?
Big Ben.
Would it?
No. I think it would have to be, because we live in such a beautiful place, it would have to be something like a volcano.
Wow. I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Dormant or in full explosion?
In
eruption?
Yeah, eruption.
All the smoke and ash.
Yeah, and to get
coming
that
out.
angst going, that it's coming down into the studio.
That Lee's fired up.
Yeah,
ready
because
to go.
you see them, don't you? You see beautiful subtropical landscapes, beautiful crystal clear water on an island, and let's get a raging volcano.
Yeah, well, I'm going to get them raging in mine too. I'm going to have the Kremlin in the background for me because that'll scare the crap out of everybody. I think I'm a raging commo. Oh, that'll kill our growing American audience, wouldn't it?
That'd be out the window.
There's people over there who still believe that communists are half-evil creatures.
I know.
Even though they're human beings who've got crazy ideas, communists have crazy ideas.
Lack of understanding, we perish, mate.
We do. But anyway, let's try and get into some understanding. What topic are we going to tackle today, Lee?
Well, there's a few that we were discussing before in our leisure time, and we threw a few out. And one that stood out to me, which you actually brought forward, is, do we listen to anyone anymore?
Or are we good listeners?
And I thought, wow. Again, opens up the Pandora's box. I get into research, come up with all the points I'm going to make today. But it was your suggestion, mate. What made you think of it? Not listening to your wife or?
Oh, I have to listen.
Yeah.
Because if I don't, it'll come back and bite me. Oh, no, I try to be a good listener. I have not been in the past, and it's something that I'm continually working on, so I'm rather conscious of it. And it's something that even, in my mature age, I'm still developing, because you have to listen. You have to know what's being said. And, there's a lot into it. We'll open that up a little bit more.
But do you do this? Do you jump in and then you have your say? And you're not really listening to what they're saying because you're waiting to jump in and have your say.
Yes.
That's a common thing today.
Yeah, but what made me think about it is that, we're living in an age where people really aren't listening to each other on the big narratives of life. I've been watching political trends and how it influences our behaviour in society for a long time. And I've just noticed that now there's a massive gulf between different opinions. And that sometimes happens when you're having a one-on conversation, even just about football, for example.
I agree. Well, what do you think of this statement? Evidence suggests that the art of listening has significantly declined in modern society, replaced by a culture of noise, distraction, and a focus on broadcasting personal options. That's what I mean by jumping in. They're not really listening. They just want to get their stuff across. And while people are more connected technologically than ever, true empathetic and patient listening, which is essential for deep connection, is becoming rare.
Yes, well, see, there's a crazy thing happening in our Western societies too that I've noticed, is that there is a propulsion where people want to be seen to be successful and smart and clever. People up on LinkedIn, for example, have all these fancy names for what they've done and their attributes and their professional profiles. Everybody beefs it up to look as good as possible, and everybody puts their best foot forward. And so they're propelling outward rather than being silent or still to see what comes to them, or to just be their authentic self and just let life happen around them that they can interact with organically, rather than trying to create a narrative that suits them because they have self-interest in it.
Yeah, but they're catering for, which I'm going to bring up next, like the reasons why we aren't listening. And one they've got down here is called the scroll. Cultures and distractions. We live in an era of information overload where attention spans are short, and we are constantly interrupted by technology. I agree with that, because everybody's on their phone. Everybody's on the computer. I mean, you look around the studio, there's screens, as we mentioned before. I'm looking at issues, not my phone as such, but if I need to, I'll relate to it. I'll go to it. It's not like, what was that again? Just ask Google or ask Siri. It'll give you that. And so you're not thinking, you're not contributing, you're not listening. That's the thing. And when you said that, are we good listeners anymore? I don't think we are.
So we're not listening to life. We're not listening to the rhythm and the beat of what's happening around us in our culture.
I love that. I love the rhythm and the beat, brother.
Of our town, what's happening around us, in our little communities, or even in our little families. I think women are probably in some areas a lot better at reading the micro than men are.
Better than Most men, mate, I think.
Particularly with families, they've always got their radars up. Is everybody okay? How's he going? How's the kids going?
Yeah.
How's the husband at the moment? Is he in a good mood? He's come home from work in a foul one, whatever. I think that they're probably a lot better at listening to the rhythm and beat of life, whereas men just sort of charge ahead with whatever they're interested in.
Younger men, not so much. I think the older, more mature men can sympathise with what you're saying. We have another thing here, which is self-centeredness or validation seeking. Often conversations are not about understanding the other person, but rather waiting for their turn to talk, like you're waiting. Sharing our own stories and seeking validation for our own views. Again, it doesn't take a scientist to work out what the art of conversation is now and the jumping in and the validation. It's what they want to bring forward and tell you. They're not listening to you. You've just ignited something in them that they want to bring forward to you. I don't feel they're listening. And I do it every now and again, and you see it in people's faces. We were talking about this a few days ago. It's like you've got to read the room. If they're looking away and like they want to kick a can down the road, you just stop. You're not doing them a favour, and you're definitely not doing yourself a favour.
But they do want to seek validation. Like I said, people put their profile up on LinkedIn and other social media platforms to look good. I went and saw a friend recently, and he's a really dear friend, a professional man, rather high profile in his community, sterling reputation. And, you look at everything about him concerning him professionally and his profile on social media, and this guy's got it all going for him. Then when I went around there, I found out that he had massive domestic problems that were huge. And that facade of everything being good and fine because he's clever and smart just fell apart before my eyes. This guy's just human like the rest of us. And so a lot of us put out an image to have some sort of, we think we're really fooling ourselves because we think the greater public out there is going to give us validation by saying, oh, look at Keith, look at his great profile on Instagram or on his socials. Wow, what an interesting, clever guy. No, I'm just an ordinary dude who has the same problems and have the same failings as everybody else.
But you get up in the morning. You get on with it.
I do.
You get it done. Are you after validation that you want to be cared for?
No. Well, that's a bit of a hard question. I don't know if I'm after validation, but then again, if I had some professional profile here listening to me, they'd say, oh, yeah, that guy needs heaps of it.
Right. Okay.
I don't know.
Well, let's look at the next one. So it says closeness and communication bias. Ironically, the closer we are to somebody, the less they're likely to listen because they assume that we already know what they're going to say.
Yes.
How cool is that?
And how true is that?
How true.
Yeah.
I mean, I do it to you all the time.
No, you don't. You're a good listener, Lee. But, my wife's hardly listened to any of our 100 podcasts. And I said,
mine either.
I said, why don't you listen to our podcast? She goes, oh, I listen to you all the time. I know what you're going to say. No, you don't.
So there you go. You can go, well, it's a closeness communication bias. That's what she's doing to you.
Yeah, well, I come out and occasionally both of us come out with some little bit profound wisdom.
Are you talking about you and I or you and your wife?
No, you and I.
Oh, you and I. Oh, cool.
So they should be listening to us.
They should be listening to us. But they don't.
But
but we don't need validation for that.
But we don't listen too much in one-on-one conversations either, do we? Very much. If somebody says something that, and you've just said this a little while ago, if somebody says something that sparks our interest, even though we may not have thought about it before the topic came up, once the interest has been ignited, we feel like we have to jump in with our story, with our contribution. Oh, yeah, that happened to me. Oh, yeah, that happened when I did this, this, and this. And it's like, no, dude, you don't have to say that. That person is talking to you and telling you something. Listen to that person, hear it, and, be empathetic and give some respect to let the person own the space because that's their story at the time. And certainly make some sort of contribution as the conversation goes along, but don't have to come in with your story to match what you're hearing.
Well, most people, and I'm not saying everybody, but most people shut down in certain subjects. And you said a story once which made me laugh. I won't repeat it.
Was it inappropriate?
No, it was, what do you think on this, Keith, on the political view? And your friends go, oh, no, don't give him that. And you went, all right, okay, so do you want the short version or the long version? Oh, short, please.
They did too. You should have seen the look of terror on their face.
Well, that's right. So with people today, and I'm guessing, but you come up with a certain subject that they're not really familiar with, or is politics is one. I mean, you and I love politics, not a lot of people. Or history, you love history. I'm avid follower, but I'm not in depth. I skim along the top. You go in deep. So to have that conversation, you have to allow that person to talk, and you should be listening because you have a certain interest in it. But what I find today with certain people, they don't have an interest in it, and they shut down.
Yeah.
You can see the blinds come down, and then you go, "No worries, mate. Well, anyway, I'll catch you later." See ya.
Yeah. Well, this comes into play in the art of conversation as well, doesn't it?
It does.
You know, you have to listen, but you also have to, the right time and the right way, enter into what is being discussed by the other person coming towards you to make a contribution. And this can be a little tricky because you have to know when to contribute, because
To jump in.
when to jump in. Yes, and I'll give you two stories. One I've already told you before, I think on the podcast some time ago. I met a guy one time out in the surf. We were talking and we walked back to our cars after the surf, and he was telling me his name was Francis. He was telling me about his life, and he was telling me his surfing life and surfboards, and I hardly got a word in edgeways. And he didn't even ask me my name. We'd never met before. And anyway, see you later, mate. He went off to his car, the other side of the car park, and I was there drying off, getting out of my surfing gear, putting the board on top of the car. And a mutual friend came over and said, "Oh, you've just been talking with Francis." And I went, "Yeah." And he said, "Oh, Francis said you're a really interesting guy." And I thought, I didn't say a damn word.
Yeah.
And I literally didn't. You know, I might have just gave some affirmation. "Oh, yeah, you know, oh, yeah, I know, yeah, those boards are good, yeah, that type of sort of affirmation to back him. But I didn't have any substantial contribution. And he thought I was an interesting guy. He wouldn't have a bloody clue whether I was a dullhead or a genius because I didn't really have a chance to contribute. Now, when I was single, you know, I dated this particular lady, Japanese lady, and I'm very conscious that I talk too much sometimes. So I thought, well, I'll try and listen, you know, and just give this lady a little bit of space and even be sensitive to the point where I'm letting her know silently that I'm on her wavelength. And after about 20 minutes, and it would have been a bit longer because she bloody ate the meal that I paid for, she got up and she said, "You are a nowhere man. You are nothing. You are nowhere. Nowhere man." And she's pointing at me like this and she's speaking to me with emphasis. And she walked out of the bloody restaurant.
Oh,
Just left me sitting there, had to pay for the bill and everything. And I'm going, holy bloody hell,
Wow.
What was that?
wow.
You know, so one time I was silent and I was the most interesting guy in the world. Another time I was silent and I was a dull, nowhere deadhead. I know they're extreme examples.
But I get you.
Just thought I'd throw them in.
So this one here I'm about to say is what I think is today. This is where we are. It's social media and polarization. The internet allows us to broadcast thoughts to thousands, promoting a desire to share rather than listen.
Yes.
In a polarized society, people are more likely to listen to confirm their own prejudice rather than engage in a genuine, open-minded conversation. That's what I think where we are. I don't think people can. The older, mature people can because we've come before.
So some of them are pretty bad, you know, not listening.
Oh, yeah, well, that would just be because they're given up or they don't care. I met a guy today who didn't care about anything. He didn't say, "I don't care." He said, "I don't give a F-U-C-K about anything." I said, "Really? Nothing? Yeah, why should I? Why should I care?" Like, you go, right, eh? So you won't have a conversation with him. But with the internet that broadcasts out all your thoughts to your thousands of followers, subscribers, listeners, whoever's promoting it have a desire to share rather than listen. And you get caught up in that. Easy, especially if you're in a group that they don't like to talk or they haven't got a lot to say, or like the guy I met today, doesn't give an F-U-C-K about it. To me, it's disheartening. It brings the curtain down on me of, well, why bother? But again, I keep saying there are good people in the world. There are more good people in the world than I think ignorant or arrogant people. But I think that's where we are today with the internet and how people share their thoughts.
But I think there's a lot of positives in listening. I think it's really, really wonderful. Try not to be triggered. Oh, I want to jump in. I've got something to say. Oh, yeah, I want to say that. And, if I roll this out, they'll think I'm pretty cool. If we can just pull back and listen, we can learn. And sometimes listening, I really have to work on this. I really do. You hear things that you never even considered. Oh, my God, I didn't know that. Or, now I know how to do something because I've listened to somebody. So it's a kind of an observation of kind as well, isn't it?
Yeah. The other thing is they lose track of thought. If I don't jump in now, I'm going to forget what I'm going to say. So what you're doing or what they're doing is not allowing you to finish. You may carry on and go, oh, yeah, it's no point saying that because he's just covered it. Mm-hmm. But because they can't wait, whoever they people are, because they're afraid they'll lose their train of thought. And like you said, it's a great thing to say, and I'm going to lose the opportunity.
But if you can listen, you can really have a great time socially too, not only in terms of the benefits, like I just said, you can see and learn something, you can open yourself up to new experiences. You can really enjoy the company of somebody. Wow, that person is really great. Sometimes you meet people like that, you can have this conversation with them. It flows easily. You can enjoy their company. It can be a great pleasure to be able to listen and converse with people. And we did a podcast back some time ago, is The Art of Conversation Dead? Mm. And I think
that was a good one.
The art of conversation is an art, and it's something that we should all aspire to because we can be so enriched by having great conversations with people. You never know what story they've got. You never know where they've come from in life. I mean, I just come across a lady recently who handedly, who was running a ranch in the United States, raising cattle. And she had all sorts of stories associated with that. And here she is floating around us here in Noosa in southeast Queensland. What an incredible life person has. And so, you're enriched and you talk and you hear people's stories and you kind of connect for the moment. And there's great entertainment in that. Great enjoyment, I think.
Do you think they'd ever come back?
I think probably will, Lee. I think we're becoming so disconnected from each other because of the noise of the world of communications that's so readily around us that I wouldn't be surprised if there'll be conversation clubs that might pop up.
Well, there's a recommendation for it. So if you like this, check out Is the Art of Conversation Dead? So let's get on to the last one I've got here on why it's hard to listen, which is pretty good. This one is called Fear of Disagreement. People are quick to stop listening when they encounter opposing viewpoints, especially when they feel attacked. Mm. How often have we heard this? And I've seen it in conversation where somebody started and then they backed away because somebody with a stronger, or they feel they have a stronger opinion and totally quiet the other person.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, fear of disagreement.
Yeah, or being shamed in some way. You might be talking to somebody who's far more intellectual, more informed than what you are, and you're feeling insecure. You're out of your depth. I've felt that quite a few times. I've met a couple of people who have been a lot cleverer than me in conversation and knowledge, and I've felt a little bit intimidated talking to them. And you don't know how to respond. You don't know how to contribute either. So it's like, oh, yeah, okay.
Oh, it's at the time.
See you later.
Must go.
Nothing's perfect, is it?
No, so the not listening side of it isn't a great thing to move forward to because there's an impact of not listening. And it says here that they have a loneliness crisis, even though while surrounded by people, many feel intensely lonely because they are not being truly heard or understood. Mm-hmm. Now, that just seems normal, doesn't it? Mm. Because if you're not getting your point across, you're going to feel the loneliness side of it because you feel you're not getting heard. Nobody understands me. Nobody listens to me. So that's the impact of not listening. Mm-hmm. That's the strained relationship that you have with it.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying that if you are a good listener, then you can actually give something that's building security and identity into somebody because they're feeling, oh, I'm important to some degree because this person is listening to me. So your listening can be a gift to the person who's speaking to you.
Yeah, if you're listening.
If you're listening.
But if you're not listening, that's what you can become.
That's what you can convey to the other person.
nobody listens to me, I'm understood. We have another one called loss of empathy. When we stop listening to understand, we lose the ability to connect with others on a human level.
Yeah, well, that's the basis of all of what we're talking about, I think. It's all about connection.
Because you go back to the closeness communication bias as well, and the social media and polarization, where the internet allows us to broadcast thoughts to thousands.
Yeah.
And then you have loss of empathy when we stop listening to understand, because you get it through all the time. Like we were talking today, we don't know what we're reading or looking at, whether that's true. Misinformation, disinformation, AI, fake. You're not sure now. We're double thinking of, is that real?
Doesn't that make the attraction of communicating and having good conversations with fellow human beings, face to face or in a small group setting, even better? That it can be authentic. I've got a friend, we meet every Tuesday night with a couple of other buddies and we play cards, have a few beers or girls go out for a few drinks on the girls' night out, all good close friends. That should be a lot more rewarding than just getting so much coming at us through our screens and our audio.
And finally here it says a lack of listening leads to misunderstandings, increased conflict, and in many cases the breakdown of personal and professional relationships.
Yes.
Again, it's what happens when you have a personal view of something that another person doesn't really see that as, and you are in 100%, and that person is going, no, I don't think so. What are you going to do? You're not going to take, oh, well, we agree to disagree. You'll go, bugger them. They've got no empathy. Who cares?
Empathy does come into this, doesn't it? If you are listening, you are to some degree empathetic because you may have to act upon what you've heard from the other person by way of giving a generous response or even support.
Oh, support. That's a tough one. So is there any hope, Keith, do you think?
Yes.
So while active listening is rare, it is not dead. The key to rebuilding this skill is practical silence, understanding that listening, not speaking, is the most powerful part of communication. Do you agree with that?
I wouldn't say it's the most powerful communication, but I'd say it is a power. It's just one part of the dynamic, the overall dynamic.
Curiosity over judgment, approaching disagreements with courtesy rather than hostility.
I don't even know if you have to have courtesy. I think you just simply have to reserve your opinions that don't need to be said. I suppose that's a courtesy.
And active engagements, making a conscious effort to focus, ask questions and validate the other person's perspective.
Yes, very much.
That's just good manners, I think.
Yes, it is good manners. Well, even listening has to be classified as good manners, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. I'm trying to listen to you all the time.
Don't you find this a little bit ironic? Here we are, podcasters, who have listeners all around the world, and we're doing all the talking.
Well, we've decided that we would like to have a chat. That's the thing.
Yes.
And we get into conflict with one another and different viewpoints because we're different. But we don't take it any further than that. We agree to disagree and we move on.
Have you worked out that I'm not a communist yet? You don't know whether I'm a communist or far right. That's how confused you are.
I think you're a socialist. That's what I think.
Right, dead right I am.
I tend to go along those lines too. Anyway, Keith, it's good to be back. We could go on. I've got more here as always, but I'm going to leave you the last word and I'm going to listen intensely.
Lee, look, it's just great to be back, mate, and good to see you. I'm pleased you had a good summer. To all our listeners out there, thanks again for tuning in. We'll be back on to our podcast airways regularly from now on. 2026 is...
Try again.
Thanks, Lee, for giving me the last word. I'm just not accustomed to it, really, so I'll give it my best. Listeners, it's great to have you back. It's great for us to be back in the studio. We'll be podcasting regularly like we have done in the last couple of years. We've got a great year ahead. We're going to be doing quite a few different podcasts under the guise of our DGMS studio here, which is Don't Get Me Started Studio. Locally, we're going to be doing a great Noosa Coffee Odyssey, where we're going to be going to coffee shops and reviewing them. We're going to be going to eateries and bistros around town and reviewing them as well. And we've got a whole other plethora of new ideas and platforms up ahead of us that we'll be pushing into, and there'll be more news on that as we broadcast a podcast in the future. So, dear listeners, love you all. Great to have you all back on board for 2026. And until then, hooroo, we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Don't Get Me Started with Keith and Lee. Don't forget to rate and review this podcast. To see more of Don't Get Me Started, jump onto our socials, follow us on Instagram at Lethal and Mully, Facebook and LinkedIn. If you would like to be a part of the show, email us on don'tgetmestarted2024@gmail.com. Until next time.